The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to CPA Academy. My name is Lady Maya, and I will be your moderator for today. Our presentation is on business killers, 12 secrets that destroy small business. Our presenter today is Drew Stevens. Just want to go over some housekeeping items and do some technical checks before we get started. On the right-hand side of your screen, you will see there is a questions panel. Please insert all of your questions and comments. And if you have any technical issues, put that in the questions box. And go ahead and feel free to let me know where you're listening in from now. Just a reminder, this is a 1-hour webinar and qualifies for 1 CPE credit. The way you earn that credit is fairly straightforward. Just stay logged in for the 50 minutes of our allotted time and answer the poll questions. We will have a total number of 4 polls during today's webinar, and to earn full credit, you'll need to answer at least 3 of those polls. Now let's check the questions panel to see where everyone's calling in from. Okay, Oregon, California, Seattle, Texas. Hi, John. Sacramento, Arizona, Colorado, Youngstown, Ohio, and PA. Thank you all for those responses. So just a reminder that CPE will be issued by the end of the day today and will be available in your CPA Academy account. I also want to let you know that we are recording today's webinar and the archive will be made available to you by the end of the day as well. We also recommend that you take the time to download today's presentation materials, which can be found in the GoToWebinar side panel. Now that we're all set, let's turn today's webinar over to our presenter. Drew, the floor is all yours.
Thank you so much, Lady Maya. Hey, everybody. I am so excited to be here with you today. I'm really looking forward to the next hour with you. And I want to let you know that this is going to be interactive. So please use myself and use Lady Maya to get my attention and ask me any and all questions that you want to ask at any particular point in time. This particular seminar is really going to be a really helpful for you if you have your own business, or if you work with others in small business to help them through some of the obstacles. My desire to work with you this morning is to share with you a little bit of an agenda. In order to get started, what I want to be able to do is answer what I call why squared. And that is why this topic, why Drew Stevens, and why now? So I want to answer those questions for you. That gets me excited to deliver this for you here at CPA Academy, and then immediately go into 12 essential topics of those things that kill businesses, obstacles that actually harm small to mid-sized businesses, even large ones. And to an extent where I can, I will get questions and answers at the end. But if you have a question in between, I will stop. So this is not listen to me squawk for an hour. This is me being here for you. So let's start immediately. Why now, guys? Why are we here? Why did CPA Academy ask me to bring this to you? Well, a couple of things I want you to understand. And I want to do this by way of my bio, but I do want to do this in terms of the businesses that I work with, the industries that I'm involved with, and how I help other organizations. What we know to be clear right now is that this particular pandemic that we have been in and been involved with, even in the economic environment that we've been in, has been severely volatile to say the least. We know that from a small business perspective, well over 400,000 businesses have closed. We also happen to know that on a frequent basis, almost 88% of small to mid sized businesses do not have enough economics to survive economic cycles. In other words, enough money in the bank. What I also find is that many small to mid-sized businesses, at least the 11,000 I've worked with over the 30 years, have illustrated to me that there's been a lack of good business foundation. And we'll get into some of that momentarily here. So why this topic? There is a need to help these businesses. And many business owners, whether you're the senior leader of a business, whether you're an accountant or an attorney working with these businesses, sometimes don't know where to turn to. So, what I want to be able to do is illustrate to you some pathways to success. Who am I? What brings me here? What made CPA Academy come out and say, hey, Drew Stevens, we got to hear from you? Couple of different things. Number one, I've got 37 years of finance, private equity, merger and acquisition, and turnaround business expertise. In the last 37 years, I have worked with small to middle market businesses in turnaround, special situations, and restructuring in order to provide them with the proper business strategies and the proper techniques that take them from struggling and transforming them to proper business techniques and getting all of the obstacles out of the way. My particular emphasis happens to be in finance, wealth management, fiduciary responsibility, the fiscal responsibility, and more importantly, some of the revenue operations that are happening within organizations. I have investment experience where I've helped with merger and acquisition, and I've also helped with debt and private equity raising over the years, whereupon I've helped create over $11 billion in new revenue. I am the author of 14 books. I've been an international keynote speaker. I have established sales leadership programs for several accredited universities across the United States. And I am the author of 3,400 articles and blog posts, as well as a registered life and health agent and moving towards that emphasis into securities. Why now? Why now? Businesses are failing, ladies and gentlemen. Businesses are failing. We see this with economic cycles, both good, bad, and indifferent. And what I'm seeing on a day-to-day basis in order to help many of you is that entrepreneurs struggle daily. They struggle daily to find the right answers to very important questions. And if you're one of those that is an entrepreneur, and I'll ask some of these questions momentarily here. But if you're an entrepreneur and you've been on Facebook or LinkedIn and some of the other social media and trying to acquire knowledge, well, there are folks that, I don't want to say that they're charlatans, but on the same vein, they're not giving you the proper techniques that are necessary in order for you to move the business forward. What I'm seeing is that business owners are stressed, business owners are anxious, and business owners are looking for answers for very, very easy questions, but they just don't have those answers. The other thing that I find, and this is where we will talk a little bit more about, is that over the years, I have come to find that entrepreneurs that start businesses don't have the answers to a very fundamental question, and that is, what happens if you get ill? What happens when you put the key in the door and you decide, I'm just too darn tired to deal with this? And I have a story about that with a gentleman by the name of Craig who came to me about 6, 7 weeks ago and said, Drew, I'm tired and I don't know what to do. Well, what do you do when you have a business like that and you just don't know what the next steps of advancement are? Well, that's what I'm intending to do. And that's what I want to start with, is how to help you find the answers to those questions. So in order to begin, let's do this. I just have a new friend here at CPA Academy. She's going to work with me to create as much of an interactive program as I could potentially provide for you in the next little bit. So, Lady Maya, if you wouldn't mind helping me out, I've got a very quick polling question to ask all of these wonderful people here today. And that is, how many of you operate your own business? How many of you operate your own business? Lady Maya, take it away.
All right, and that poll should now be on your screen. Your options are yes and no. And here's a reminder that we will have 4 poll questions for today. You must answer 3 of those polls to get the full CPE credit. And also feel free to put your questions in the questions tab as well. All right, everyone seems to be wide awake and interacting with this webinar, which is so great. We're getting the answers in quickly. So I'm gonna go ahead and close this out in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'm gonna go ahead and share those results. So it's kind of in between. Yes, 45% and no, 55%. Back to you, Drew.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Lady Maya. So for those of you that I just want to do a quick follow-up question, and you are free to utilize the question area to help me out a little bit, because if many of you are not running your own business, I want to know two things. Number one, are you working with small to mid-sized businesses? A, and B, what are some of the goals that you have for today's webinar? How can I help address some questions for you? Because I want to make this as personable as I potentially can for the number of folks that are here, and as well the number of folks that might be listening at another time. But let's start with this, if you don't mind. And I will be looking, and Lady Maya will be looking as well for the questions that are coming in. So please, like I said, please do use the question area. There are 12 particular items that are affecting small businesses. And here is the very first. I want to start with the very first one. Many businesses, and whether you're helping businesses of the 55% that say that you're not, maybe you're thinking about it, maybe you're working with others, perhaps you will find that many businesses are failing right now because they're not being very strategic. And there is a very, very big difference between strategy as well as tactics. And just a quickie question for all of you. If you were working with somebody and you would have asked the question, do you have individuals that seem to somehow get confused with the differences between strategy and tactics? And I'm going to be looking at the questions here for just a second, just to make sure that I'm getting everybody involved as much as I can. Jeffrey, thank you so much with the comment on my voice. I have done voiceover in the past, and I have have received some good comments. So Jeff, I really appreciate that. Tim, I see you're working with small businesses. Vivara, and if I pronounce anybody's name wrong, please let me know. I'm a big proponent of Dale Carnegie, who says the person's name is the sweetest sound they'll ever hear. And I get annoyed if my name gets messed up. So please help me. Karen, I see that you represent a small cooperative of equipment manufacturers. Troy, you are supporting medium-sized businesses. And Peter, you work in small business dev in a talent company. So here's what I want to do. What I want to do is I want to help you out. There is a big difference between strategy and tactics, ladies and gentlemen. Tactics, and let's do it in a very mild way. Strategy is what the business is. It's what the business is to become. Strategy is nothing more than a framework of where you want to take the business. Tactics are the how. And too many organizations that I see today are working in a tactical way. Well, we're going to sell this, and we're going to sell that, and we're going to buy this inventory, and we're going to grab at that inventory. What I tell folks, and what happened is most recently, I had a gentleman, and I said I named him earlier, he was tired. There's a few things within these 12 that affect Craig, but let me start with Craig. Craig owns a jewelry store. Craig came to me 7 weeks ago, and Craig said, Drew, I am so darn tired. I don't know why, but I'm so darn tired. Well, come to find that Craig inherited this position from his dad. He's had it for well over 46 years. And I asked Craig a very quick question, and that was, when you put the key in the tumble every morning and open the door, what do? And he said, well, I just sell jewelry. So I said, so wait a minute. I need to understand, where is the jewelry store going in the next 2 to 3 years? What would you like to have in terms of revenue? Why are you in existence? And do you know what he said to me? Again, I want to try to make this interactive. Do you know what he said to me? You will be shocked. I don't know. I don't have a fee. I don't know where I'm going to be. I don't have a direction. I don't have a pathway. So I say this, and that is business killer number one is the fact that if your business and the businesses that you're working with don't have strategic direction, they don't have a mission, they don't have a vision, they don't have a pathway of where they want to be in the next 2 or 3 years, they're going to fail. It's very easy. You cannot work from a tactical level. You have to work from a strategic level. And if any of you want more information, I will provide for you in a little bit, and I'll also have Lady Maya help me provide you with some of my contact information. But this is going to be helpful, because if you want materials and a strategic template to help some of these organizations, I have them completely. So, Mohammed, I see that you had written before that you were a little bit confused with the difference between strategy and tactics. Think of it this way. I'm just going to net it out. Strategy is what the business is, tactics are the how. It's all those little things that you need to do on a day-to-day basis. And so that's not how an organization is supposed to be run. The three major components of strategy are mission, vision, and values. Vision, where you want to bring the company in the next 3 years. Mission is a manifestation of that vision, and values are your core beliefs, where you want that business to go, and what are those core beliefs that are going to ethically keep you bound. Now, the second killer, and I could talk about this all day long, and perhaps I can come back to CPA Academy and present each one of these as its own separate topic. But what I want to be able to do is give you at least an overarching view of how all of this can help you. The second thing that you need to understand is that when it comes to business, let me ask you all a question, and you're free to answer this just as quickly as you can. How many of you, excuse me, when you're with businesses, have those businesses? So I see the last one I'm looking at is Dean. Dean, when you work with small businesses as a tax consultant, and even Chris and some of the others that have written in, do you have people that address you or answer you and say, well, I'm in business to make money? Dean, what do you think I'm in business for? I'm in business to make money. Chris, do you hear that every now and again? Mohammed, do you hear that? Well, I'm in business to make money. And while I'm waiting for your answers, let me set this up for you. In 1954, Peter Drucker, the infamous management consultant who passed away many, many years ago, came up with a quote in one of his books called The Practice of Management. And he said, the purpose of business. Kathleen, thank you. Awesome. I really appreciate your interaction. Mohammed, same thing. You hear it all the time. Yeah, I'm in business to make money. Let me tell you, because this now leverages what I just said about strategy. And that is the fact that Peter Drucker said that the purpose of business is the customer. It is about the acquisition. It is about the retention of clients. And so if you're building a business, if you're developing a business, or Dean, even as you're working with your tax clients, and I'd love to talk to you a little bit more about this, especially as we get on in the program. There are too many business owners that are thinking that they're in it for the money, when what they really need to be focused on is the consumer, because the consumer controls the marketing, the consumer controls supply chain, consumer controls the product or service, consumer controls the people that are hired within the organization, the leadership, the staff, and other things that are the machinations within the organization. When businesses focus intently on money, then they start to fail. And they fail because they're really not believing in what the acquisition and retention of customers is. And that's why their customer service is so poor. That's why the quality of goods and services is so poor. Look at organizations that no longer exist, the Sears, the Kmarts, Hertz, which is just coming out of bankruptcy, Macy's, which is close to bankruptcy, JCPenney, and many others. They sat there constantly focusing on the bottom line when they should have been focusing on, excuse me if I miss some of you, the Chris's, the Deans, the Mohammeds, the Lady Mayas. You're the client. And what you need to understand is that you own the brand. And that is a big part of this, because now that's business killer number 3. Part of the issue then is that some of these organizations are so focused on money, so focused on everything else, that what they forget is what, Dean, using your words, if you don't mind, you're right, the big picture. Where am I going? How do I want to get there? And what is going to get me there? And when you focus on the money, you constantly are making mistakes. The second thing is, and as I look at the Q&A that's up on the board here and trying to get an understanding of each and every one of you, and I cannot thank you enough for your interaction thus far. Please keep it going. Please, please, please. There is a big difference. And Dean, because you're on the tax side, and guys, there's a lot of you, so please get involved because I want to make sure that all of you are involved in this discussion, and I'm not missing anybody here. But as you as you're looking at these organizations and you think about what it's going to take to move the company forward, there's two issues here. Dean, you should be asking your clients, if, even on the tax side, as you're preparing their taxes year by year, how much they're investing in marketing. For those of you that are involved in other businesses, or those of you that have your own business, the 45% that say that you have your own business, you should be thinking that you should invest anywhere between 5 to 15% of your gross revenue in marketing. If you're not making music, there is no noise. And very similar to what Warren Buffett said, it takes 20 years to build a reputation and only 5 minutes to ruin it. And so there are so many organizations that are out there today solely using, say, social media. Or what they'll do is they'll get a kiosk and I've seen this because I used to work with chiropractors as an example in one of the markets that I had served. I had written a book for chiropractors and showing them, as well as physicians, how to build a very successful business. But what wound up happening, folks, is that they think, some chiropractors, and you'll see this with dental studios as well. They'll build an office, they'll put it in the strip mall, they'll put their name on a kiosk, and they'll think, oh, listen, while I'm going to Shop and Save or while I'm going to Walmart, let me stop in because my back is bothering me. Or, you know what, I have got nothing to do today. Let me just drive around and see what happens because my back is hurting, and they're going to just pop into a store. No, that doesn't happen. Marketing is about community and it's about reputation. I want you to think about this very, very quickly. So as I look at some names on the list, Olivia, Dean, Chris, Mohammed, going back up, Kathleen, Katie, I want you to be thinking about places that you admire, whether it's restaurants that you go to, whether it is dry cleaners that you visited with, whether it's even local grocers. And, I'm all about supporting small business, even the small businesses that are in your community. When you think about this, you tend to tell your closest friends. And so, what you need to encourage is how to manifest that, because the more you're telling others within your social confines, you're helping them out with marketing. Here's a biggie. Dean, you need to tell your folks this because it's going to help them on the tax side. Because if you build your community and you help them with their reputation, they're lowering their marketing costs by 80%. So, Dean, let me ask you a question. If you were to help your clients on the tax side lower their expenses by 80% utilizing community, how much more money would they spend with you? How many more clients would you get because they think that you're the local hero? They're thinking that they just rubbed a lamp and a genie came out. And that's very, very important for everybody to understand. So marketing is a big thing in addition to what I said about the strategy. One other business killer for you as we move on here, and that is simply this. I want you to understand that many, many businesses do not know numbers. And as those of you that are in accounting are going to absolutely love this. Those of you that are here and you're doing the books, if you're a bookkeeper, if you're a CPA, even some of you, if you're a CFP, what I am completely shocked about is how many individuals approach me on a day-to-day basis, say that the market for themselves is sinking, saying that the business is sinking, and I ask them one question. What number do you need to hit every single day in order to be profitable? Or let's do this. What do you need to have in order to pay for all of the expenses? And you would not believe that almost 77% of the 11,000 businesses that I've worked with over the years do not know that number. There are firms that are out there that do not know what their monthly expenses are, do not know what their break-even point is, do not know what their cost of goods is, and the list goes on and on and on. I had two women that I was working with in a PR situation many years ago. And I'll never forget when I had asked Sheila, I said, let me ask you a quick question. Have you ever done a pro forma on any of your business clients? And she said, a pro what? I said, a pro forma. She said, what's a pro forma? I said, you've been in business for 5 years. How have you been able to maintain your business? She says, I just keep calling my former clients and they want to do business with me. So I said, do you think that that's going to keep up over the course of time? And she said, yeah, it's worked so far. I said, listen, you either make your own luck or you make your own fate. And so the only thing that I always tell business owners is, look, I'm a kid. I'm older now, but when I was a kid, I used to hate numbers. Don't get me wrong. I was just never good in math when I was in high school and eventually in college. I didn't do well in algebra, didn't do well in calculus, didn't do well in statistics because I'm one of those that really needed the application. I needed to understand where is this going? How does it apply? I got my start on Wall Street. Eventually, I moved into Main Street, and then I settled into my own business. And as I started to settle in my own business and become more aware of business owners, I then love the numbers. How many of you, let me ask a quick question, and I don't want to stop for a quick polling question, but how many of you are former athletes, whether it was football or tennis or baseball or track and field? How many of you were there? And I don't want to do this as a quick polling question, but I'll tell you what, you could just put it into the question box of just say me or raise your hand. You could do that. And here's the reason why I'm asking. I used to run track in high school and college. I was fortunate enough in high school to set 7 school records. And I think those of you that have been athletes, those of you that are parents that where you're working with your children, one of the things about video way back when, very similar to today, is that video doesn't lie. Video does not lie. And what I love, and guys, I love this. Rachel, thank you, baseball. Albert, Joe, marathons, good for you, man. Courtney, Selena, Dana, John, you guys are awesome. Thank you so much. Donald, musician, I'll tell you what, just like an athlete, because I think musicians, just like athletes, need to practice. But where I'm going with this, as a musician, the same thing holds true. Because just like a musician, you're recording, you might record whatever rhythm or harmony or melody that you're putting out. You want to see how it might fit with something else. Where I'm going with this is video doesn't lie. Because you can correct things through video, whether it's a pass or I was a hurdler in track and field. I could see the way that my trail leg was coming over the hurdle, list goes on. But what I have found is that numbers tell a story. And by having good numbers, by understanding cost of goods, by understanding inventory, by understanding break-even point, by understanding margin requirements, EBITDA, and the list goes on, I think you guys know where I'm going with this. Good entrepreneurs know the numbers. And for those of you that are entrepreneurs, then don't reach out to me. Ask. I've got some templates that I can provide for you to help you with that, which I think is going to be really helpful. But as I move forward, because then I want to start getting into kind of the second nature, because we've done about 5 or 6 of these killers. We're about halfway through, and I adore the fact that you guys are so interactive, so please keep it up. Lady Maya is going to help me with yet another polling question. And I'm going to just present that on the board. She's going to help me bring that up. And, here's a question for all of you. And that is, how many have had good fortune as businesses have begun to reopen? I'm just curious to have an understanding as to where things are right now as the pandemic has kind of shifted away through, and just trying to get a good understanding as far as where your business is right now. And what I'd like you to do is, after you're done with the poll, as Lady Maya helps you out, tell me an area that you're struggling in, if you are.
All right, that poll question is now on your screen, and your options are yes, no, uncertain. We've got a lot of votes in. We're just gonna leave it open for a little bit longer to see if we can get any more votes up to 94. All right, and again, this is the second poll of our webinar today. You must answer 3 to get that full CPE credit. I'll go ahead and close the poll down in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'm gonna go ahead and share those results on the screen. Yes, 52%, uncertain, 36%, no, 11%. Back to you, Drew.
Awesome, Lady Maya. I really appreciate all your help. So, 52% of you are saying that you've had good fortune. Some of you, you're still struggling a little bit. So, I'm hopeful that some of this information is helpful. And 36% of you is still a little bit uncertain. And I have to flush out a little bit of uncertainty. But as I'm looking at some of the numbers up here, what I'm starting to see is that cash flow, there are struggling with employees, recruiting and retaining talent, acquiring new clients. Now, let me see what I can do in this last slide as I move away from some of the quantitative things to look at here. When I look at businesses that are struggling, and I encourage those of you that are being so transparent and so wonderful with me right now, I want you to be looking at three things as you look at this. And there's not enough time, and I am willing to give you some of my time, free time, to discuss hiring, retaining talent, because I happen to have a PhD in workforce productivity and job satisfaction. So I'm a big advocate of the people issue. But let me stick on this point for a quickie second here, and that is. When you look at business, when I look at business, as I walk in as a turnaround strategist, I think that there's three things. It's people, processes, and products. Number one, I am not being trite because the work that I did on my doctorate, which is carried right through my consulting and advising business, has been right in line with Jim Collins. Folks, you have got to have the right people in the room. You've got to have the right people on the bus. Please look at your talent. Don't hire for anything else but innate talent. If you have a business where customer service is job one, you've got to have the right people. You've got to have the right leaders in the room. You've got to have the right managers. And there's a whole process for that, and I'm happy to let you know that. But I want to let you know about a guy by the name of Adam that thought that he had the greatest club fitter in world's history working for him. And I can tell that this gentleman was very passive aggressive. I knew straight in. And Adam wanted to keep him, and Adam wanted to keep him there. And Adam's a person that does not like conflict, doesn't like telling people no. And the gentleman, unfortunately, remained within the organization for another 6 or 7 months. The reason why I say this is that the guy had the right skills, but people also have some behavioral issues, and too many individuals are hired because of behavior. Everybody thinks that they're wonderful. They have that extroverted nature. They're forthcoming, so on and so forth. But when you have somebody that's constantly undermined, constantly being passive aggressive, you need to step up as a business owner. And those of you that are working with small businesses need to know this. There was one or two that were doing business development. Same thing holds true for some of your clients. If they're exhibiting behavior that is not conducive for the culture, they need to go. So the first thing you need to be looking at is hiring for the right talent. The second thing you need to be looking at are processes and procedures. Are there obstacles that are in the way from people performing their jobs? There are reasons why businesses do fail, and that is because they have processes that they've never looked at. I had a gentleman by the name of Dave, for instance, that had a multi-level marketing firm. And what was happening is that the distributors from the MLM were returning products to the tune of about $15,000 to $20,000 worth of product per month. Dave was jumping up and down. He said, my distributors are ripping me off. They're telling me that they want more goods and services. My guys in the supply chain are great. I have no problems with shipping and development. Well, if they were so good, I said, let's track this. So we did. And long story short, he was blaming all of the third-party carriers that were just throwing boxes up on the porches of these distributors. All of you have seen this on YouTube videos because we see this at Christmas. So naturally, the tendency was, let's blame somebody else. We tracked it back because what we did was we shipped product directly to Dave's house, and we distributed that with 4 different delivery vehicles. All 4 of them were broken. You know what we found, folks? We found that the supply room within his own company was throwing boxes around and just throwing it on the truck. That the packaging and the packing in the packaging was atrocious. Well, guess what Dave had to do? He had to go through the whole process, reorganize it, and redo it. The same thing has held true with organizations such as a famous Mexican fast food chain, who many years ago had a lot of E. coli issues. Changed the process, but guess what? No one ever walked the process. If you don't walk the process and you don't mystery shop, how are you going to know it's broken? Many of you, I'm sure, if I ask the question right now, just in the question window, and you're free to answer the question, how many of you get frustrated with telecommunications firms when you're calling and utilizing the automated dial systems? It could be for an internet service provider. It could be for a mobile phone company. How many of you get frustrated by doing that? You could just simply say me or yay right in the window. And the reason why I bring that up, just as a generic topic, because so many of you are coming from different areas, I want to make sure I'm hitting as many of you as I can individually. And that is simply this, guys. Look at all of these people that are coming up and said, Leslie, Albert, I can't stand those guys. Way to go, Albert. Thank you for the transparency. Karen, Ty, and Ty, I think it was you that said you're a pole vaulter. I did that because I did decathlon, so good for you. Joanne, Karen, Selena, all of you, Taylor, all of you, so frustrating, Jane. You're absolutely right. And do you know why it's frustrating? Because not one CEO has ever walked the process. I don't want to belabor the point, but very, very quickly. I once worked for a hospital that claimed that they were totally into customer service, needed help, and wanted me to come in. And what I was doing was I was changing their people and their process. It was for the cardiology unit of a major hospital that is here with where I live. I walked in, I said that what needed to be changed. The gentleman looked at me, that the managing director, and he said, well, we really can't afford to do all of that. That's a lot of work. That's a lot of restructuring. 4 weeks later, I get a note from him, and I said, your process is god awful, and it needs to change. And he said, well, no, we're just going to work with it. We'll just do what we can for right now. Well, guess what wound up happening? You guys are going to love this one. And that is, Doug calls me back about 4 to 6 weeks later because his own father had a heart attack. He called into the main number. And one of the problems, which was a process, when you called into the main number, there was no intimacy. You heard a whole bank of individuals in the background as if I was making a hotel reservation at a timeshare. Well, the problem is that this is a cardiology department. There should be TLC. There should be some level of sincerity, and there should be an individual answering the phone, not something that says, hi, welcome to XYZ Healthcare. If this is an emergency, please hang up right now and dial 911. If this is not an emergency, hit 1 to make an appointment. Hit 2 to change your medication. Hit 3 if you're sick and tired of me relaying this message to you. And the list goes on. One last point on this right now, and that is simply this, folks. That is the fact that you should be looking at your products. There are too many individuals that are out there right now that they're selling products and services. What they don't look at are two things. Number one, does the product or service fit the demographic that you're looking to market to, or are you hitting the demographic? So when I look at people, processes, and products, these are the things that I look at. Do you have the right people in the right seat? Are you having the right process, and are you utilizing mystery process to understand that process? And last but not least, are those products hitting the demographic that you'd like? So I'm about now to move to another portion, the next step of our program, and that is, and I think it was Dean is in tax accounting. Those of you that are attorneys, those of you that are CPAs, if you would just please give me a thumbs up or a yay or a me, let me know, because for the next little bit, I'm going to focus a little bit more on you guys as well. Not so much even for the accreditation, but also for something that's really important. And for business owners, listen up, because all of this is for you, okay? And that is simply this. I want to make sure I'm getting Karen's question. I love to work with people. Things work when you can talk with a person. Absolutely, Karen. Amen to that. So here's the reason why I'm bringing this up. There are too many people that are in business today, and they basically say, I know what my business is worth. They think that in a few years' time, they're just going to run out, they're going to be able to sell the business. Well, I don't know if you heard my phone go off a little while ago while I was doing this, and I apologize that it didn't do that, but it was perfect timing. And that is, I have a woman by the name of Cynthia. She owns a tanning salon very close to where I live. Cynthia is struggling in the business, and she says, I know what my business is worth. I'm just going to sell it for X. And I said, oh, really? Seriously? You know what your business is worth? And she said, absolutely. I know what my business is worth. And so, guys, let me just do a quick pause for a second. Courtney, Richard, Daniel, John, Jerry, Melissa, Mary, I hope I get you all. Rachel, Taylor, Rick, Robert, Brooke, Ken, Reed. Thank you so much. CPA in the house. Thank you, Jacqueline. I love it. CPA Karen, another Karen, Taylor. CPA in Connecticut, used to be from the New York area. So hi, Kathy. And if you're near Greenwich, Stu Leonard, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. CPA turned police officer. Way to go, Ty. God bless you and thank you for your protection. Patricia, Mohammed, you guys are awesome and thank you so much. So here's what I'm talking to. Galena, my grandparents used to live in Long Island. Hempstead, as a matter of fact, I'm sure. And I'm sure you love my former accent. You know what? I'm originally born and raised in Brooklyn. I miss my bagels. I miss my black and whites, cookies, and I miss my egg creams in the biggest way. But we'll talk after. Somehow we'll figure out how you can get me some. With all of that in mind, all kidding aside, like I said, I want to make this personable. You need to evaluate the business, and you need to evaluate the business because at some particular point in time, you're wanting to exit the business. And the best people to do that are the tax accountants that are here that are working with me. And if they don't work with you on that, they don't do the valuations on businesses. I've got some forms I'm happy to send you in which to get a valuation on your business. The reason why I say that is because you don't want to oversell or you don't want to undersell the business. You want to try to do things for the business that will allow you to get out gracefully. Now, with that, I've got a quick polling question for you that Lady Maya is going to help me with. And that is, how many of you know, some of you answered the question already, but I want the statistic. How do you know what your business is worth? And I've got a couple of ways to answer that question. Lady Maya is going to help me out with this.
All right, give me 1 second.
And isn't she awesome, guys? I need you guys to give her a big round of applause if you can.
Oh, that's quite okay. Actually, we have to add this polling question in. See, you did it way too soon. Well, we can come back to this polling question unless you want me to move on to, are you tired of your business running you?
And we'll cue you up because there's one right after this next slide. So let's do it that way. That'll be perfect.
Perfect.
She is awesome. Hey, guys, give her a big round of applause. She has been a huge help for me to say the least. And I just see Matt is a Stu Leonard's beau. Oh, I got to get the chocolate milk and the iced tea from Stu Leonard's. Absolutely. Love it, Matt. Thank you. And see, Lady Galena, Lady Maya, you're getting all of these cheers and claps. So good for you. Look at it. Awesome. Look at these guys.
Thanks so much.
So if in terms of the valuation on the business, here's what I want and what are the things that I am got. And here's what I want to do. Lady Maya is going to help me with a quick question because I want to ask you the polling question, and then what I want to be able to do is come back to this particular slide. Lady Maya, go for it.
All right, so the poll question should now be on your screen. It says, are you tired of your business running you? The options are, yes, I need some answers. No, things are fine. Not available. This is too soon to tell. Go ahead and get your votes in. This is the third poll of our webinar. We have one more for today. And thanks everyone to all the nice comments. I see you in there. I love interacting with everyone. So thanks so much for that. This has been such a great presentation, Drew. You are fantastic.
Thank you so much.
All right, we'll go ahead and close this poll down in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'm gonna go ahead and share those results. Not available, it's too soon to tell, leads by 41%. No, things are fine, 37%. And yes, I need some answers at 22%. Drew, back to you.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. And guys, thank you all. Here's a couple of things that I want to let you know about because I want to put a couple of different things together for you to help you in this portion of the presentation. If you're too busy running the company, then what winds up happening is the company tends to run you. I can probably say that some of you are just tired. Some of you may say every now and again that you're sick and tired. You might be sick and tired of dealing with clients. You might be sick and tired of processes. You might even be sick and tired of doing all of the work. And what I find is that many business owners have that. And what this ties into is it ties into, let me just go back real quick because like I said, I want to make this interactive. I do these things personally, so I put these things into existence and then I want to make it specific to everybody that's here today. Number one, you want to value your business because if you do get to a point where you and your spouse are having a conversation and you're too busy, your spouse may turn to you and they may say to you, you know what, dude, you can't do this anymore. You're getting too old. You're getting too cranky. You're distant from the family. You need to figure out what it's going to take in order for you to understand how that you can run the business without the business running you. That's number one. Number two, and the second reason for asking this particular question, guys, this is really important for you to understand. We have been going through in the last, reasonably speaking, 20 to 25 years. And I can bring up another slide. I won't here as part of a distraction, but if I were to show you a history of pandemics that have hit the world, and some of you know some of these based upon experience and age, reading media and politics, and that is simply this: AIDS, MERS, SARS, Asian bird flu, COVID-19, polio, tuberculosis, and the list goes on, folks. It's very easy to say, that will never happen to me. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I got to tell you something, okay? I just saw a quick question come up by Randall, so I want to make sure. Are you going to provide your template for business valuation? I will, Randall. If you stay with me, I will give you my email and phone number for texting. You are free to contact me, and I will send that out to you as soon as we're done. I promise, for all of you. In fact, I'll put a kit together for all of you. I've got a document about strategy. I've got a document on marketing, and I've got a document on these business killers. So I am happy to put this all together as well as the template for the business valuation. All I need you to do is fill out information, you send it back to me, and we'll get that done for you. It's a free service, so do not worry about it at all. I want to make a disclaimer. Lady Maya didn't mention it before. I'm not here to sell you anything. I am here to give you sage business advice. That's why I do this. God gave me some gifts and talents, and I want to be able to provide those gifts and talents to all of you in terms of good advice. I feel that there's just bad advice being given out there today. And so when I was approached by CPA Academy to come to you all, gosh, I was honor bound. So, and this is where it hits me. This particular segment, this particular slide is what got me to put Business Killers together. Okay, I want to tell you two very quick stories. You know what? Make it anecdotes because we don't have enough time for stories. Number one, have a client by the name of RJ. RJ and I are working together. It's the beginning of the year. We start a week before the pandemic hit, and then the pandemic hits. We're still working together. I get a call just a week prior to Thanksgiving, and he says to me, I have COVID. I'm down for the count. I feel like hell. I don't know what's going to happen. I'm scared to death. I have a dearest friend of mine for 40 years. My dearest friend, Frank, he and I have been together for 40 years. He's my brother. And he calls me and says, I went out on New Year's Day. I was with Jerry, which is his brother-in-law. Neither of the two of us were wearing a mask. We happened to have been in a car heading out to dinner, and 2 days later, I get COVID. Drew, I don't know what's going to happen. I'm scared. Last but not least, Donnie, and I'm in a speaking group with Donnie, calls and says, ladies and gentlemen, I need some prayers. Charlotte's in the hospital. She's not doing well. She's put on a ventilator, and just offer your thoughts and prayers. We do. 2 days later, guys, the numbers are coming back up. Charlotte's going to be fine. 2 days later, he puts up on a Facebook page Charlotte's picture with her dates. And I went just like the rest of you. Oh, good Lord. It's very easy to think that we're not going to get impacted with some negative aspects, whatever those negative aspects are. There's nothing that says that we're going to lead an absolutely positively perfect life. We all have things that come against us, whatever that something is. We're going to get involved in traffic accidents. We're going to get a cold. We're going to get the flu. Heaven forbid any other dreaded disease. Just recently, we have a family dog, and the dog has a growth behind his eye socket. All I'm saying is not just to minimize it for the reasons of compensation without making anybody feel bad. Stuff's going to happen to us, folks. Either we're going to get sick, and we know once we're born, as we mature, we pass on. We just go someplace else. As a business owner, it's very easy to say, no, that's going to happen to me. And I'm going to tell you guys that's wrong. That's not the right way to run the business. And when I found out all of these people, including my dearest friend who had COVID, he doesn't have his own business, but I think you all have to understand, you need to think about two things. You need to think about succession planning. You need to think about exiting, which is what the theme is as we start to finish up. And the reason why I say that is because you need to think about what your next move is going to be, should, heaven forbid, you ever get disabled or you are offered an opportunity that you don't know what's going to hit. And so here's a last question that I have for you on this subject, and then we'll finish up the program, and that is simply this. Do you know what you're going to do should you decide to exit the business today? Or I want to switch that because of our conversation. Should you get ill? So Lady Maya, take it away.
All right, now that last poll question is on your screen. Your options are, I will sell it, I will give it to children, I will slide it over to a partner or current employee, I do not have a clue. And again, this is the last poll question for the day. You must answer 3 to get the full CPE credit and stay logged in for 50 minutes. This has been such a wonderful presentation. I know I have enjoyed myself and learned so much as well. So thanks again to Drew, our great presenter. I'm going to go ahead and get ready to close this poll in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And the results are now on your screen. So 33% tied, I will sell it, I do not have a clue. 14%, I will give it to children. 20%, I will slide it over to a partner or a current employee. Back to you, Drew.
Thank you so much, Lady Maya. And folks, I don't know if you could see this in the questions. I think I could see it. I know Lady Maya can see it. I hope I pronounced this right, but Michaelina is one of the participants in today's seminar. This is exactly what she said just this moment. And Michaelina, I bless you for being so transparent. This is it, folks. Just Wednesday, called a client to confirm Thursday who said he wasn't feeling well. Yesterday, he was confirmed with the Delta variant. You've all seen the news. Folks, things are going to happen. And so what I'm going to tell you is that you need to figure out some strategies in order to provide you with either succession or exit. There are ways in which you can exit. One of them, I think it was Randall earlier, I hope I get the name right, but was asking me for the business valuation. It was Randall, and I am going to provide that in my contact information. But you need to understand is where you're thinking that there's going to be plenty of time, things are going to creep up on you sooner rather than later. There happens to be several different types of strategies that you can enable. I'm not sure. I think there's a few people on here that have been in accounting and insurance as I've seen this. There are buy-sell agreements that you could put together. There are business succession agreements that you could put together. There are business exit strategies that you could put together with and without, believe it or not, term or even whole life policies that will help you out. You need to be looking at vehicles that can get you out of trouble should trouble hit at some particular point in time. I will also tell you that, another killer is thinking that you not only have enough time, just as much as you're not going to have anything ever happen to you. If you think that you have enough time, folks, I just turned 59 in February. I am shocked of how quickly my life has gone. And I got to tell you, it just keeps going faster and faster. The other thing that you really need to be thinking about is if you have money put to this, if you're thinking that your business is going to be the key to your retirement, I would not say that that's a good business strategy to have. You can't think, and I had this conversation the other day with Blake. Blake said, I've got this great facility, things are running fine. I'll just keep putting money away slowly but surely. And I said to him, Blake, you can't do that. You've got to make sure that you've got liquidity. You've got to make sure that there's a lifestyle, because here's what I want to let you all know. We know that should you want to retire at some particular point in time, you're going to have what's called guaranteed income. That guaranteed income could be things from your retirement accounts. It could be Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security. But the other thing that you all need to be thinking about is, what are those guaranteed expenses and what are those non-guaranteed expenses? May want to take a vacation. The house may have an issue at some particular point. You may have some emergency procedure. You want to be thinking about what you can do in your retirement years to keep your existing income and not lose anything. So if you're using your business as your retirement, we all know that every business goes through seasonality. We do know that every business is hit with some type of issue. Look at COVID as an example. So you need to be thinking about how you're putting money away for retirement sooner rather than later. The other two things that you need to be thinking about before I finish this up is, folks, we all know that we're paying taxes. And if you think that, and I'm not getting into politics here, but we know that anytime there are new politicians that are in Congress, in the Senate, even in local areas, somehow taxes are going to increase. I live close to Illinois, and they just raised the gasoline tax. Believe it or not, 40 cents of every dollar, and it's not 40, it's 39.7, but almost 40 cents of every dollar goes to taxing gasoline. That's why gasoline throughout the United States is going up. Education enrollments are down by over 27%. And so you've got to pay for these goods and services from someplace. And the only way in order to do that is through taxes. And if you think that having your business is going to get you around that, not so. That's where you need to really talk to the deans of the world and many of the others that are on here, that is the CPAs that can help you understand the changes in the tax laws, understand the changes in reimbursements, and understands what you need to do to protect your biggest asset, the thing that you've worked so hard for. The other thing that you need to be thinking of as well, folks, is simply this. What happens to your money? You want to be able to be putting money away so that you have not only a lifestyle in your retirement years, not only a lifestyle that from all of the work that you've done from nurturing and protecting something that you built, but a legacy too. You may have children that you want to give it to, and that's what you want to be thinking of. Listen, I have really, really enjoyed the time with you today. What I want to do right now is I want to give you some contact information from me. My website is www.drew-stevens, and Stevens is with a V, .net. Again, that's drew-stevens.net. And the best way to reach me is drew@drew-stevens.net. You email me, I will put together some documentation for you. You tell me, I'll tell you what, without sending you a whole kit, because I don't want to inundate you with video, with audio, and with text materials. Let me know specifically what you're looking for based upon this webinar, and I'll be more than happy to provide it for you. And I'll say one other thing. If you want, say, 45 minutes of my time for a quick strategy session, things are wrong in your business, you want to write them, just email me and we'll put some time together. I'll send you my Calendly link and we can do that within the next couple of weeks. God bless you all, and thank you all so very much for a very, very enjoyable morning, very enjoyable day, and a wonderful topic to present to all of you. God bless. And Lady Maya, and please, ladies and gentlemen, big round of applause for Lady Maya for helping me to facilitate today.
Oh, well, thanks so much. We're going to go ahead and get ready to wrap up with today's webinar. We here at CPA Academy will process credit later today. That'll be available in your CPA Academy accounts within 24 hours. Everyone will have an opportunity for a full webinar evaluation. Those links to the evaluation are available in your CPA Academy accounts as well as your email. Thanks again to our just larger than life wonderful presenter, Drew, for such a great presentation. We are always appreciative of your time and insights, and warm thanks to all of you in the audience for your participation today. We urge you to take a look at your CPA Academy My Account page and see all of the resources that we have made available to you there, and to take a look at the other fantastic webinars we are able to offer. We hope to see you all in future webinars and hope you have a great rest of the day. Thanks, everyone.